right. Today is January 24th. It's Wednesday, and the time is 9:02. We have a quorum, so we're going to go ahead and call our Utah Lake Authority meeting into session. We'll go ahead and start with any board reports. If you guys have any, I'll just start at the end. And if you don't have one, just pass it along to the next person. Should we do
None, thank you.
You know what? We're actually going to do a roll call. Just so state your name, and then we'll pass it on to the next person as well.
All right.
We can share.
My name is Jody Garberg, and I'm sitting in for John Mackey with the Division of Water Quality. Yeah, at meetings right now.
Ben Steierman, Forestry, Fire, and State Lands.
Curtis Blair with the Utah Valley Chamber.
Michelle Kafusi with the City of Provo, and I don't have anything to report.
Julie Fulmer with Vineyard, and I don't have anything to report either.
Chris Karn with Saratoga Springs, and I don't have anything to report.
Lene Millett with Orem City. I'm taking Terry Peterson's place, so I'm excited to join y'all.
Happy to have you here.
Carolyn Lundberg, Linden City.
Cameron Dalton, Governor's Office, Economic Opportunity. Nothing to report.
Mark Johnson, Lehigh City.
All right. Do we have anybody online with us, Sam? All right, then we'll go ahead and move right into our staff and committee reports, and we'll start with Addie. She's going to report on conservation and our restoration efforts.
Hello, good morning, everybody. So is this, why is it? Sorry, I'm playing MC today, so please bear with me. I'm not great. Okay, so I'm Addie Valdez. I'm a conservation biologist here to just give you some updates on some of the progress that we've been making. Not a lot doing crazy things in the field right now. As you know, it's been pretty chilly and there's not a lot of active things going on, but what we are doing is doing a lot of planning and preparation for this coming spring, summer, and fall. So we're very excited about that. Can you go admit that? No, it's okay. Sorry, we're one staff short, so we're sharing jobs. So one of the big things that we just recently accomplished that me and Sam and a lot of our partners collaborated on was our water restoration initiative application, and that's through the Utah Department of Natural Resources, and this is for fiscal year 2025. So we have been completing this application for 10 plus years now, and mainly what we've been doing is this has been supplying funding to Utah County and our partners in order to treat Phragmites around the Utah Lake shoreline. And we have been doing that pretty successfully for the past 10 years. And we're starting to kind of move into this new phase of restoration and kind of let Phragmites kind of fall into the maintenance aspect. So some of our primary objectives are still going to be targeting our invasive Phragmites regrowth within like the 10,000 acres of shoreline that we have, but not really focusing on it as much and kind of moving it to the maintenance phase, like I said. So a lot of that funding for the maintenance is thankfully coming from Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. They were able to secure about $300,000 of annual funding for this. And that is very great to hear because now we can focus some of our WRI money into more of the restoration aspects. So that's really nice to have that maintenance funding. And then some of our other objectives are still continuing to remove tamarisk or salt cedar, Russian olive, and then planting native tree species instead. So that's one of our primary objectives, as well as restoring shoreline by planting native wetland plugs and seeds. So we are going to order about 40,000 wetland plugs for the fiscal year 2025. So not this summer, next summer. And 30,000 of them will be planted by the contracted nursery. And then 10,000 of them, just like this year, will be used to plant in volunteer events so that we can still really engage our community in this restoration effort. And then we are also are partnering with Delta Waterfowl, Provo Delta Waterfowl, and building duck platforms and waterfowl nesting habitat within Provo Bay so that we are able to kind of provide that extra for wildlife, and that just helps our application as well. So overall, in total, we have about $600,000 contributing to this project through WRI, ULA, Forestry, Fire, State Lands, Utah County, and then Provo Delta Waterfowl. So we are really excited about that. And we just submitted that on the 12th, and we should be hearing back probably here in the next month or two. I think in March is when we hear the final say, but we're really excited to receive this funding and kind of move into this new stage of this project for the next foreseeable future. Oh, you're good. Okay, and then kind of what I mentioned earlier is our volunteer plantings for 2024 for the summer of 2024 calendar year. So just a reminder, I know it's been a while since we talked about it. We ordered about 10,000 plugs and about 1,200 of them are locally sourced in partnership with UVU. And then we have ordered about 300 native trees to be planted as well. So these volunteer plantings will be taking place in April, May, and June. That's kind of the peak time to get these native plants in the ground so that they can establish. And then we are already partnering with, for a few events, Conserve Utah Valley, Utah Valley University with a few of their classes, and then likely the Chamber of Commerce. So we're very excited about that. So if anyone in your city or any groups that you know of would like to participate in this, usually they're going to be about 2-hour events, but totally customizable to whatever your group wants. So we're very excited to put that out there. So if anyone has any interest, please let me know and I'll do all the coordination for you. You just let me know if you're interested. So we're really excited to kind of get this project on the ground and continue it in the next few years. This year it's funded just solely by us, but next year, hopefully it'll be funded by WRI. And so kind of piloting this year to see how well this number and effort is going to go. But we're really excited to kind of have more of this secure event that's involving Utah Lake shoreline and a lot of the restoration and ecological side that goes into it.
That's a
So
question.
we're very excited. So yeah, if you have any questions for me.
Yeah, I do. Can you create some type of a social media post that we can share looking for
Yes.
volunteers for these events?
Yep, I already have one made. I've already sent one to Curtis, but I can customize it. If you would like to, I can reach out to you or we can kind of coordinate a little bit more about a specific one for your city or a group
Okay.
that you would like. Because we will usually be kind of planning it to what site exactly we kind of are planning to be in sort of thing. So we can make sure parking and everything else like that is good. But yeah, we would love to do that for you. And I think we have a lot of time and opportunity to do it. So I'm very happy to do that.
Well, we always have groups looking for what they can do to help.
Yes,
So, yeah.
For sure. Yes. Well, I will definitely reach out.
I'd say, yeah, if you can send that to the whole board, I realize they can be
Yeah.
customized, but if
Yeah,
if
yeah.
there's just a high level
Yep.
starting point, we
For
could.
sure. Yeah, I can send just a general infographic to any of you guys. And if you want to like just send the information back to me, like an event planner or someone that you have on your staff to more specifically coordinate with, that is super awesome. But yeah, I can send out a general infographic for that. And then we can customize it further as we kind of move forward. But yeah, I'm very excited about this. I'm glad you guys are too.
I do have one other question on the sourcing. You said out of
Yeah.
the 10,000 plugs, about 1,200 were sourced locally.
Yes.
Have we talked about ramping that up? Was it? I mean, why weren't we able to source all 10,000 here? I mean, I recognize there are probably some that aren't being cultivated, but
Yes.
can we ramp that up so that 5,000 are sourced locally next year? Are we partnering to get that capacity into the pipeline?
So I'll go into a little bit more detail about how we source these plants. So about 9,000 of them are actually coming from a nursery in Idaho called North Fork Native Plants. They are a commercial native plant producer. They are very good at what they do. They produce a lot of the species that we like to have. And then when I say locally sourced, I'm saying so that's UVU students going out into the field, collecting seeds and going into their classes, specifically greenhouse management in Utah field botany. And they're growing them out over the 2 semesters. And so kind of locally sourced, it's going to be a little bit difficult to upsize that just because they don't have the class sizes and like the student effort for that. But what we are planning to do in fiscal year 2025 is source more of our plugs from it's a High Mountain Nursery in Heber. So those are locally sourced, but they are more of a commercial grower. So in fiscal year 2025, all of our volunteer plugs will be coming from High Mountain, and then the 30,000 will be contracted through High Mountain because they will have labor crews in order to contract and come plant those, because we cannot ask the public to plant 30,000 plants. That's a lot. So that's kind of how the sourcing will go. But yeah, we're kind of moving into more locally sourced in the next fiscal year, but this year was kind of more just like getting our bearings, but still have a lot of like locally sourced partners. So we're very excited about that. Yeah, of course, no problem. Any other questions for me? All right, great. Well, thank you all for listening, and I will pass it on to Sam.
Thanks, Addie.
Before I start, I just want to acknowledge, Chair, we do have Commissioner Sakovic and Hillary Hungerford, board members online as well. So a welcome to them. Hopefully they can hear us okay. And feel free to chime in, Hillary or Tom, if you have a question for me while I'm going.
No,
I'll keep things. Oh,
so just-
please.
hear you fine. Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Tom. I'll keep things brief. For those who didn't know, I currently have 3 jobs and I'm happy to have all 3. I plan on having 2 for the couple of months here that I've been serving as the interim, but we actually lost Jenna, our outreach coordinator as well, a little shy of a month ago. So that's why I have 3 presentations here at the beginning, is presenting for Jenna, for myself, and for our director position. Speaking of on communications and outreach, I did want to feature our new hire, Anna Hall. That's her picture there. She'll be joining us starting on Monday next week. She's very excited to get started. She has a great background in public relations and in marketing, and we're really excited to have her get started. So you will meet her at the next board meeting, but wanted to make sure I highlighted that. And then from Jenna's material, as she was heading out, I wanted to just highlight 2 accomplishments she made before she left us. One of which, at our board meeting in November, she talked about the upcoming website overhaul. She did complete that during the December to January transition. And so if you go to utahlake.gov, it's got a whole new facelift. It's a little bit more updated and user-friendly. Obviously, there will continue to be some updates. If you find a broken link, feel free to email us because we love catching those and making sure those are fixed for people. And then secondly, she did a really great job of participating in our staff's efforts to create training materials. With our agency being so new, we didn't have anything prepared for when somebody leaves. How do we teach them to do something? When Eric left, I kind of had to just learn in the last 2 weeks he was here how to do his various things. And so our current staff, including even our attorney, are all developing a training packet specifically for our position. That way, so that as moving forward, as somebody new comes in, they've got their base duties already prepared and they can read through that to make sure they're well prepared in case we don't have a chance for the predecessor to train the successor. So she was able to complete hers, and that'll be a great resource for Anna. Events and engagement under my duties. I just wanted to hit on 2 things. One, our Winter Fish Fest. We just finished this event. It's our 4th year running. It's a winter fishing challenge. So this isn't an ice fishing tournament where you all show up on one day at one location, you catch fish, you measure it or weigh it, somebody gets a prize. This is a 10-day long online challenge where people can go out anywhere they want on the lake. They can catch any of the species of fish and they can submit photos for points into a raffle. And they can win prizes, including this year as a grand prize, we had an electric ice auger, which got the anglers really excited. In fact, part of why we did that was we wanted to try and increase our participation in this event. Now, I don't mean registration, I mean participation. Our registration has usually gone fairly well, but we've kind of floated between 15 and 20% participation, meaning those who registered who submitted 1 or more photos to try and get a prize. This year, and I checked this, our participation actually doubled after we announced the grand prize because we announced it midway through the challenge. It jumped all the way up to 32%. So we're really happy to see that more people were participating in the event. We really think it's a fun, educational way to learn more about fishing at the lake and use it during a time of the year when most people don't think of using lakes. So really fun event. We really enjoyed doing that. The photo on the right, which we'll see if my thing works here, that you can see on the right side, hopefully online, they saw that too. This is a post that some interns made for us that pulls from data from previous year's winter fish fests, highlighting where different species of fish were caught. And this, for our level of Instagram and Facebook, it blew up compared to our other posts. People were very excited to see that they could determine a particular location. They might have a higher odd of getting the species that they're targeting. So that was a lot of fun. And then upcoming events, just wanted to remind you all, we do have our 4th grade field trips coming up in April and May. We have our Paddle with Care event that'll be on May 18th, which is our Paddle Across the Lake and Water Safety Festival. And then we have our annual Utah Lake Festival. We're just working to settle on the date of either the 1st or 2nd Saturday of June that will be coming up. Last but not least, just briefly wanted to highlight a few items that we worked on during our interim director phase here as I've been serving. As Addie already mentioned, we've just submitted our WRI application. We're very excited to be presenting that in the next week or so to that committee. We hope to receive funding on that. We've been working on completing all of our fiscal and transparency reporting and audits. Obviously, we've been involved in the hiring process, and a big thanks to Jenna, who is not with us. She was here for that whole process and spearheaded that. With myself needing to be recused, she quickly stepped up to the plate. So I wanted to make sure we gave her a shout out and thanked her for all of her efforts. And a thank you to Chair Fulmer and also to Paula, who was quite involved in guiding us through that process. We also continued finalizing the Utah Lake Management Plan. You'll hear from Jacobs Engineering here in a bit, just recapping that process, and we'll vote on that plan today. Our staff has also been working on updating from our statute the standards and criteria, working on what kinds of metrics are we using to track our work and the work of our partners at Utah Lake. We also developed some additional policies, one of which you'll see here in today's meeting. I'll also do a presentation later on our small grants program that we're launching at the lake. And then a new step, as I mentioned with training, I also worked on our onboarding process. So we now have developed an actual checklist from when the job is offered, 2 weeks up until this first day, and then up till 90 days after the first day, establishing a good process to guide our new hires through so that they learn their jobs, they learn who they need to know, and they understand our policies and procedures. So that's all I have for right now on our 3 staff reports. Are there any questions on those topics from the board?
Thank you so much, Sam, and for all of your work. Are there any questions for Sam? No? Anybody online? Okay. We'll go ahead and move on to our consent items. If you guys have had the chance to review them, I would love if we could get a motion.
Move to approve consent items.
And I'll second that.
All right, we have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing Mayor Kafusi. Yep, sorry about that. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and this brings us right into our presentations, and we'll start with our ULA Small Grants Program. And Sam, that brings you back up to the microphone.
Okay, and I'm back. I'll try and keep this simple so you're not hearing my voice too much today. The idea of the grants program was to try and launch an effort to support more recreation at the lake. As our staff have worked on the lake, we're well aware there's a lot of things that need to be improved as far as amenities, as far as conserving the lake, protecting its ecosystem, but there is a lot of great and good things that the lake has to offer right now. One of the challenges that can be addressed right now while we're still working on trying to protect and improve the lake is that we can offer more recreation opportunities. So our agency already offers between 10 and 12 events a year, and we wanted to work to try and support others who might be interested but feel that financial issues might be a stumbling block in getting started. So this grant program, as you can see on the left side, it explains that it offers one-time funding to aid applicants with starting or improving existing recreation offerings at Utah Lake for residents and visitors. The purpose of the program is to fund efforts to improve, expand, or enhance recreation and leisure opportunities at the lake public access areas as a part of our mission to enhance the aesthetic qualities and recreational use and enjoyment of the lake. So the grant cycle is open right now. We've had several interested parties that I've been working with to try and answer questions and improve the process. Obviously, as a pilot program, this being its first year, we're going to have a few things we'll have to fix and improve as we move forward. So it's been great to work with a few of the interested parties and learn how we can improve it already. Some examples to help you understand. On the left side, the projects can include, as I already stated, efforts to improve or expand and enhance recreation, construction of recreation or leisure-related amenities, ongoing recreation and leisure programs such as classes or leagues or any other combination of multiple occurrences, meaning it happens more than one time a year. And then that last bullet point is the one time a year, which are special events. So eligible expenses can cover things like benches, bike repair stations and such along trails or at marinas. It can handle equipment purchases. So we have room in there for if one of the cities wants to do a kayaking program for their residents, that they can apply for this grant program to get dollars to help purchase a fleet of kayaks or a storage shed to put them in, or life jackets and the other associated equipment. It can also cover marketing costs. We have a minor amount of that ask can be attributed to the marketing. We also have the ability for covering permit fees or paperwork or certification and trainings that are needed for staff. So we wanted to make sure that we were offering a variety of ways to help these small scale programs started. So this grant is not intended to be a large scale infrastructure project. We target it specifically at these small things, at doing special events and programs at the lake. And then we did include a couple of examples of what's not eligible. Broadly speaking, this isn't intended for private access areas. So we have a couple of private HOA marinas, a couple of landowners that own their own. This is not in support of a program or event that would happen there, because we want to keep it accessible to the public. And that's where the second bullet point aligns as well, that it can't have a restricted audience. So this is not intended to be a program that's only for a hunting club or only something like that. It can be paid. That's not a barrier to entry and membership. It's just that it needs to be open to anybody, whether it's free or paid. And then the third bullet point, that it would only fund projects that are in alignment with our overall mission and vision for the agency. General eligibility, we will include municipalities, Utah County, nonprofit organizations, and private businesses to start on this. It's intended for public use, as I mentioned. There are some elements that will evaluate these that are other than just their asks. So this will follow similar to our procurement procedures, where we typically have a 3-stage evaluation, some kind of bare minimum of did they submit all the required documentation and does it look in good order? Then a next stage of what's the quality of this proposal, and then the third and final stage being funding evaluation as well. In the grant, the board back in March, or our final approval was in March, April, May of 2023. The board approved $60,000 for this program, so that's what we're operating within for this year. We did style the grant rules for this particular grant that the committee that we set up, which is going to be in development here in the next week or so, can award any, all, or none of these dollars as appropriate. So the committee can look at it and determine, we didn't get any good projects that are good fit, we're not going to award dollars this year. Or we got one really good project that needed $50,000, they're going to get all of it. Or we have so many and there was so much interest, we're going to award some partial amounts to a few of them and full funding to others. We tried to give as much flexibility as we're learning how this program develops as possible. We do require a match component from all the applicants, and part of that can be in kind, and the other part does need to be cash. And we have all this information available on our website and on a flyer as well. And then I won't go through all the fine print on this, but we do have a contract that we're working on developing with Paula as our attorney. We will have reporting requirements. The funding does need to be spent within the next 18 months. So we have some of these guidelines to ensure that these dollars are spent appropriately. And then obviously, on the right side, that just details some more of their performance of their project. For example, the third bullet point on the right side, I'll try and highlight that down here. Just if they're used for education and there's going to be a class element, that we will require a minimum number of classes are offered to ensure that the dollars go towards a program that doesn't decide after one class, oh, nobody showed, never mind. We want to make sure that we're encouraging good quality projects and proposals. And I think, yeah, that is my last slide on the topic. So there will be an actual more broad grants policy that you saw on our agenda that we'll discuss in a little bit today. That's meant to guide any and all grants that the agency offers. As we were developing this program, we realized we wanted to make sure we had some clear guidance on how dollars that the ULA offers as grants need to be administered. So that policy is meant to be more broad than just this particular program. This program would fall within that policy. So I just wanted to make sure the board was clear on that. But we're excited to see how it's going. I think we'll have probably, by my estimate so far, we'll have 5 or 6 applications would be my guess from the parties I've been discussing this program with. And we're excited to see how this can help offer new classes and programs and amenities at the lake.
Sam, what's the deadline again?
So deadline is February 1st.
Oh.
We're kind of putting the cart before the horse and getting this going. So I offered this to any of the parties I've talked with. And if I don't, I'll make sure I check again that if they need an extension of a week or something, we're willing to consider that, because we realized we started marketing this December 5th. And I think we opened it on the 1st and then started marketing. So there wasn't a lot of advance notice to prepare.
Perfect. Okay.
In future years, obviously, we'll make sure we've got our marketing up and going, but we wanted to make sure we got the grant set up in a time that allowed people to receive it and get all the contracting done, because I believe our deadline for contracting is March 15th, which means we're cutting it close for this first summer. We wanted to make sure we got it going.
Thank you.
Great question. Any other questions from the board on the program?
Okay, doesn't look like there are.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to our Utah Lake Management Plan recap by Jacobs Engineering.
So just stop sharing. Okay. That should be all you need to do. They should be able to share his. Just double checking. This is Sam again. Hillary and Tom online. Can you see Dave with Jacobs' presentation on your screen?
It is sharing.
I can see it.
Perfect. Thank you for confirming that.
Okay, morning, everyone. My name is Dave Epstein. I'm with Jacobs Engineering. I've been the project manager for the Jacobs team for the Utah Lake Management Plan project. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all today. We really just want to kind of go over the process we went through, provide a little background on the project, overview of the timeline, kind of the planning process we went through, and then show you a little bit, obviously not in great detail, but show the plan a little bit in the web version that is accessible to view the plan. So our project stemmed out of the 2022 general session in the House Bill 232, which created the Utah Lake Authority, and it charged the Utah Lake Authority Board to adopt and implement a management plan for Utah Lake. There was somewhat of an aggressive schedule, particularly early on in this project, and kind of give you a little overview of the schedule that we went through. We kicked off the project in November. November 30th was our kickoff meeting, 2022. We convened a planning team. Talk a little bit more of that in the next slide. And we had the challenge of developing a plan for the Utah Lake Authority to adopt a conceptual version of the plan by April 1st of 2023. This was the date that the House bill set for the Utah Lake Commission to transfer to the Utah Lake Authority. In order for that to happen, there needed to be a conceptual plan in place. So we went through a series of workshops with the planning team to develop a vision and a mission for the plan, and then goals and objectives. We did some public survey to get input from the public on the, basically the goals and objectives and what we were focusing on in the plan. The conceptual plan went out for a 30-day public comment period before it was approved by the board on, I believe it was approved on March 29th, 2023. And then that moved us into our next phase, which was the draft plan. We met regularly with the planning team. And then we went through a series of tasks in our scope to where we did a project inventory. We're looking at what management actions have been taking place on the lake. And we compared that with the goals and objectives of the plan to kind of identify where are the gaps. What should this plan focus on in terms of what needs to be done to achieve the various goals and objectives of the plan. So out of that, we came up with a series of recommendations, which we then kind of moved into strategies and went through a project prioritization. We developed a framework, criteria for prioritizing those strategies, and then those strategies were put into an implementation plan in the draft Utah Lake Management Plan. The plan also includes metrics for success and an implementation plan calendar, which I believe will show you what that looks like. The draft plan also went through a 30-day public comment period. That was the end of September to the end of October 2023. And then an updated version. Both at the end of both of those comment periods, we we went through all the comments received. We developed comment tracking tables, which were appended to the next iteration of the plan. And that included how we reviewed and addressed each of the comments. So the final version of the plan was sent to the board on December 23rd, 2023. So I mentioned the planning team. We invited all members of the ULA board to participate in the planning team. These are the organizations that ended up participating. We wanted to have a wide variety of perspectives and stakeholders represented in the planning team, and we really looked to this group for their input and their guidance in terms of what the plan would focus on. Again, I mentioned the vision, mission, goals, and objectives, and then with our interim deliverables in the planning process, they provided review for us before those next drafts were created. I mentioned the public survey, so we developed a random public survey to where we wanted to get input from a wide sector of the population, not just the folks that are engaged with or familiar with Utah Lake. So we had a random panel survey where we received 445 responses. These responses came from around the state, the majority of which were from Salt Lake and Utah counties. And then, so the pie chart there shows the percentage of respondents from the main population centers, the main counties of the state. And then we had an open version of this survey to where it was a link that could be available to anyone, could be sent along between, friends, family, interest groups. And we received 552 responses, all from Utah County, to that survey. Most of our respondents responded in the early June time period, and our survey closed towards the end of June. We got some good input from the public on this. We saw quite a bit of similarity in the responses between the random panel and the open public survey. The main management priorities that we received support for related to the ecosystem and water quality. And you can see kind of between harmful algal blooms, the ecosystem, improving water clarity were, far and away the most popular responses there. And then we also saw, a response and support for the recreational cause and increasing recreation, improving recreational opportunities. Some of the, this just shows the support. These are the 3 vision themes that the planning team developed for the management plan. And we asked in the survey what your degree of support was for the different vision themes, and we had strong support for all of them. And kind of similar to the last slide I showed, the strongest of support was for thriving ecosystems, and then also strong support for the other 2 of world-class recreation and vibrant communities. So our takeaways from those surveys was that the plan is focused on the right vision themes. The management priorities should focus on restoring the ecosystem, and without restoring the ecosystem, achieving some of the other goals may not be possible, such as recreation. And we received support for creating vibrant communities, but there was a little less consensus around which initiatives to focus on there. And so this plan has again been available in its various iterations. You can link to it from the Utah Lake Authority's website. There's a PDF version. This is the table of contents. This PDF you can open up and download from the Utah Lake Authority's website. I kind of went through in the timeline calendar of our planning process, the different chapters, and really starting with, after an introduction, the vision and mission for the plan, the goals and objectives established for the plan, We went through this inventory of management activities, the management gap analysis, the recommendations we developed, project prioritization where we prioritize, which of the recommendations or strategies, where should the ULA start? Where should they start and put their initial resources towards? And that informed the development of Chapter 8, which is an implementation plan, metrics for success, and then a summary of public input is Chapter 10. So that implementation plan, and there's an implementation plan calendar, among other things, on the hub, we call it. I'm going to have to reshare to show that, but we wanted to just show you in case you have not become familiar with the hub. And there we go. So I failed to mention my colleague Kayla Worthen's here with me today. She was the deputy project manager on the project, and she's just going to show us a little bit about the hub.
Good morning, board members. As Dave said, my name is Kayla Worthen. I had the opportunity to serve as the deputy project manager on the project, work with the planning team as well as our technical team at Jacobs Engineering. So I wanted to spend about 5 minutes just to give you a demonstration of the Utah Lake Management Plan Hub. Really going back to, the visioning exercise with the Utah Lake Authority and the planning team, we really wanted this management plan to be actionable and relevant to stakeholders, to the public, and also to decision makers. And that's why we focus our efforts on building an online platform for this management plan. So here you have just the landing page for the Utah Lake Management Plan. Across the top are various tabs, and we're going to step through those individually. So the Utah Lake Management Plan introduction there, we've got both the vision statement for the Utah Lake Management Plan and the mission statement for the Utah Lake Authority as they implement this management plan. There are goals and objectives falling around the 3 vision themes, which Dave introduced, are thriving ecosystems, world-class recreation, and vibrant communities. You can click on these little panels to open up the individual goal statements around each of those vision themes. Moving through to the project inventory, this is really a database that we compiled about, who is doing what all around Utah Lake. And that was one thing that there were a lot of, disparate activities going on around Utah Lake. A lot of people working, without much, centralization of information to describe what those activities are and who's kind of doing what. So what this spatial inventory is just a list of all of the existing management activities going on in Utah Lake and around the watershed that relate to the vision themes of ecosystems, recreation, and communities. So there's these kind of cluster points. For example, the ones in Utah Lake, you can click on these to get a summary of all of the projects that are lake-wide. So we have 9 projects here. There's carp removal, the water quality study, marsh master machines, ecosystem monitoring, fisheries management planning, field trip lesson development, comprehensive management plans, and then shorebird surveys. So you can click on each one of those to find out information in a pop-up. You can link to, a different website for that project. You can also scroll down and see all of those projects in kind of tiled panels here below. Clicking on each one of these will again take you to more information about that project. What you can also do is use this filter button to filter on what type of project it's classified under. So for example, if you want to see all of the ecosystems projects going on in the watershed, that filter will select and show you those. It's just updating. Here we go. There's a little bit of delay there. So the data dashboard also shows you the filtered information about, based on the filters you applied in the upper panel. So we have 12 ecosystem projects going on in the watershed with an estimated total cost of $18 million. And then you can kind of see the breakdown. Are those monitoring? Are those non-point source projects? There's wastewater treatment plant upgrades. And again, all of those projects are just listed in this tiled icons list, as well as in the summary list of the points. And then to unfilter, you can just, click back on all to step through any of those filter categories. So the project inventory really is meant to serve as a living document that can be updated by the Utah Lake Authority staff as they continue to work with partners and learn more and collaborate on all of these projects together. The draft management plan tab. Okay, I'm going to speed it up. So this is where you can download the management plan. Here is where we had the survey or form where the public and stakeholders could submit comments on the management plan. So everything was kind of digital in terms of the comments received and tracked. The implementation schedule calendar is another way to make this plan as actionable as possible. But it basically, you can kind of click this full screen button. And see this calendar view or schedule view of the prioritized implementation projects that we talked about. So they're split out into short-term strategies, midterm and long-term strategies. You can click on any one of these strategies to find out more information. There's kind of a high-level summary of each one of what these strategies are. And then for detailed fact sheets, that's available in the PDF of the management plan. So you can look up that strategy and find a detailed fact sheet for implementation, including what's the cost, who are the key partners, how to go about initiating it, what are the metrics for success, what are the key indicators. Close that from full screen. And then here you can just see the public survey results, as Dave said. So we can see information of the survey questions. You can click through on this left-hand side, vision themes, thriving ecosystems, world-class recreation. And you can also click through these individual survey questions and see how the random panel responded, as well as the open public survey. And then finally, at the very end, we just have a spatial data viewer, which is just a repository of spatial information that we collected, throughout the course of the project. So you can see all of the kind of physical and natural resources, open public layers that are available, just if you want mapping information about land ownership, water body features, land cover, municipal boundaries, and so forth. And that was probably a little more than 5 minutes, but that is the hub. So any questions on the hub?
Any questions? No, thank you so much.
I
This
just
is
want to,
incredible.
I just want to say thank you. It is such an amazing document. And for those that haven't had the opportunity to really dig into it, you're in for a treat because you've done such a thorough job, and it's just fascinating to dive into it. Provost residents and citizens are always talking about the carp. I mean, I hear about the carp all the time, being the mayor. And so I send them there, and it just has been such a time saver for me as the mayor. So I just personally want to say thank you when it comes to the lake and the concerns of the residents. Great
Yeah.
work.
And just the overall process has been really great. Any other comments or questions?
No, it was a lot of work.
It was a lot
We
of
had a
work.
lot, we had a lot of long meetings. It was a lot of work. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So in order to properly execute on the agenda we have before us, we have to move one of our items, 6.4, the resolution to appoint our new executive director and set pay. Could I get a motion to
Yeah,
do that?
I'll make a motion to move agenda item 6.4 to where we are in the agenda now.
Yes, right before 6. Okay, we have a first by Chris Carnes,
Second.
Second by Cameron. All in favor? Aye. Okay. So we had to hire a new executive director and we had a great process. Sam already told you about Jenna really taking that and doing a really great job running that process with our team. We had incredible candidates. They were very impressive and we had a great, robust group of our board members that came and they vetted those candidates. And we just are so grateful for everybody that was part of that process and took the time to really care about the lake and about what we're doing here. Luke Peterson was chosen as the top candidate. And so today we are ratifying that position, and then the requested amount for pay fell under the board's purview, so we'll also be setting that pay. As you guys have looked through your packet and reviewed this, you'll notice that the true market study for pay was in there, as well as other details that can help you set that. So if you guys want to talk more about it, we can. If you're ready to make a motion, we can also do that.
Mayor, just a clarification. Is our motion at this point to appoint first and then discuss salary separate?
They go together. So we can start by making sure that the salary is where you want it, and then we'll do them together. Right? Yep, it's in one resolution, so.
And we're using the salary guidance we had received in email?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Tom Sakovich, reviewed the salary. It seems to be right on line.
Is that a motion, Tom? Do you want to make a motion on that? The requested amount was
I would make a
150.
motion, yes.
Okay,
Perhaps to clarify, is the motion to accept the resolution that is currently in the board packet?
okay. My guess is that the motion before you involves the ability for you to pick between the pay of 145 and 152. The request amount was 150. I would make the motion that we ratify the position of the new executive director and set the pay to 150,000 with the additional things that were offered to the applicant in their job offer.
I second.
Okay. So Tom, can I make a motion? Okay, Tom, did you hear my motion?
Please, yes, that's,
Okay, would you like to make that
I
motion?
did, and I concur.
Okay, so Tom made the motion that I
Please,
stated. Curtis seconded that motion. Is there any discussion?
No,
Okay,
Mayor, I'm sorry, Mayor, Chair, I appreciate everyone's work on this. I know it was during the holidays that we had to do all these interviews. Unfortunately, with 4 little kids, couldn't do it on the 21st of December. But so much work goes into this one little action item, and I appreciate everyone's work on that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. All right, if there's no further discussion, I'll call for a motion. And since it's a resolution, I will do it by having you state your name and your motion, and we'll start online. Tom?
Tom Sakovich, approve.
Hillary?
Hillary Hungerford, approve.
All right.
Garberg, approve for John Mackey.
Ben Steirman, approve.
Curtis Blair approved.
Mayor Kafusi, approve.
Julie Fulmer, approve.
Chris Karn, approve.
Lene Millet, approve. Carolyn Lundberg, approve.
Cameron Dalton, approve.
Mark Johnson approve.
All right, perfect. That brings us to the next part of our session where we are actually going into a closed session. I believe.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sorry. Go ahead.
may I don't know the appropriate point of order, but may we just applaud and welcome Luke? As our
Yeah,
executive
I
director?
apologize. I'm so business focused. Luke, I just have been working with him day to day. I'm like, you're already part of the team. So yes, let's do that. Thank you so much for that recommendation.
Thank you.
Why don't you stand and introduce yourself just for a minute and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you. I'm Luke Peterson. It's a pleasure to be on board, and I'm unbelievably excited about the direction of ULA. I've lived in Utah County my whole life. I'm from Payson, graduated from UVU, did my master's at Harvard, worked in 5 states, and then worked as a professor at UVU. And I've had a great career, but this is, I think, the most exciting step. And we've got a terrific team and a great vision for where we're headed. So I'm just excited to get running with this. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for giving him that opportunity. I'm like right back to business. But it was a great interview process and great working with him, getting all of our ducks in a row to make sure that this could happen. So it took a little bit of time and you were really patient. So we really appreciate it. And nothing but raving reviews from everybody that we talked about. So really excited to have you leading out on this effort. All right, that brings us to our next item of business, which is, I believe it's D, is to discuss the purchase of real property. That would be the item that we go under. So the request has been made that we go into a closed session according to the Utah Lake Authority Board request pursuant to Utah Code 524205. And I need a motion where you read D and out fully for why we're going into that session.
I will make that motion to go into closed session for the purpose of strategy sessions, to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, including any form of water right or water shares.
Okay.
Second that.
First by Ben Starman, second by Chris Carnes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we will actually, as the board, be going and leaving this room, going into another room. For those online, you will be given a link to join by Sam, and then we will come back as that closes.
Hillary and Tom, I just sent a Google Meet calendar invite to you, so you'll have that link for the Google Meet to join, and I'll host that on my phone for you to be present in the meeting.
Thank you. By the way, I may be interrupted, so I'm going to let you be aware of that.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, we're back. So let's get started. Chair Fulmer has to step out and leave us. So here, now you get me. So here we go. And I kind of tend to move a little fast. So I need people to slow me down if I need to slow down. All right, so we are going to continue on item 7, our action items. We are going to, the closed meeting takes care of 6.1, so we'll skip that one. 6.2, review and approve the Utah Lake Authority, Utah Lake Management Plan. That is an action item, so I need someone to make a motion.
Chance to review it over the holidays. It looks really good. It's very thorough. I make a motion that we approve the Utah Lake Management Plan.
Perfect. We have a motion and I need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, great. With the motion on the table, is there any discussion? Again, it was fantastic. I've already spoke to it, but just so impressed and so full of great information. So thank you on that. I'll call it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And online, are we okay? I know Hillary and Commissioner Sakovic are online, so I wanted to make sure their votes were counted. Were they, Sam?
Aye for me, Hillary.
Hi, Hillary.
I think Tom had to
Hi.
leave the meeting.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead then and move on to 6.3. This is always so fun to talk about someone getting a bonus when they're sitting in the room. So how fun, Sam. But let me just give a little bit of a backstory on this because it makes sense. The end of year bonus that Sam should have received, we withheld because it was in the gray area, because at the time he had been asked to be the intern. And so now that we're coming to the resolution and we have our new executive director, we would like to go ahead and ask for a vote in now giving Sam his earned end of year bonus. So I would need a motion for that.
I would love to motion that, Chair.
Okay, we have a motion and we need a
I will
second.
second that.
Perfect. Any discussion?
This is formulaic anyway. It's just a matter of formality, right?
It is.
Yeah. And it's a percentage too, so we're good.
Yeah. And you're worth it, Sam.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. We wanted to make sure we were doing things by the book while I was running 3 jobs.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and you did an excellent job at that, by the way. So I'll call it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. All right, the next one, the resolution to appoint, we've already taken care of that one, so we can skip that one. Let's go to 6.5, which is review and approve the Utah Lake Authority grants policy, and I'll turn the time to Sam.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you, Vice Chair. So this is in your packets, board members, in case you need to reference it. It's the last page. As I mentioned earlier in the meeting, this is intended to be a broad policy to govern how our staff administers any grants that we offer moving forward. There's just a brief introduction explaining that purpose, general operations, it details that it needs to be pre-approved amounts that have been approved by the board. It establishes our process for having a review committee so that it's not just our staff making those awards, that we have a committee of staff, board members, and other interested individuals. That we need to have a monitoring process. So as I mentioned in the example of our small grants program, having a reporting process, we also plan with that grant to have an inspection process where recipients will have to allow us to come take a look at their project and or their class or program to ensure that it is operating and using the dollars as described. We also have just a maximum term we decided to implement so that there's guidance on when those dollars need to be spent after they've been awarded. And then the last encompassing point that we had was the strategic alignment that any of these grants that the agency offers should be in keeping with our vision and mission so that we're compliant with our statute and our directives. So hopefully the board had a chance to review it. I'll be happy to answer any questions before motion to approve it.
Sam, I just have a quick question. Is there I didn't see a cap on these grants. Is there a certain amount that you're working with right now on the grants or a budget?
So for the particular grant that we are offering, it's 60,000. This policy, because it's not tied to a particular grant program, we didn't include a specific amount, just that, as you see in the second bullet point for general operations, that the ULA annual budget may include those pre-approved amounts. Any grants that we offer will come from those pre-approved amounts. So it'll be established with the board in advance what the amounts offered would be.
Okay, thank you.
So my only question here, this is a new grant policy. We've currently accepted grant applications for the small grant, right?
Yes, we have one applicant so far. The application's not closed yet.
Okay, are they coming in? I don't know if that's the right word, but vested under a different policy?
No. So we intentionally kept the guidance of that program broad enough while we were developing this. Both Paula and I have worked on this for the last while.
Okay.
And made sure that the awarding dates and the closure date would be after we had this policy approved so that it's guided by this.
Okay.
So maybe just to clarify, Sam, for the record, it's my assumption that the existing grant application policy guidance that we gave conforms to the policy in front of us.
So the agency does not have any kind of grant policy previous to the document in front of you.
That's what I'm saying, though. If this is applied, is there anything in the current grant program that would need to change?
No,
That
sorry.
covers.
Thank you for
what-
clarifying. Yeah, we structured it so that it would be compliant with what we were proposing.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you for the questions.
These are all good questions. Are there any further? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and call for a motion to review and approve.
I would move that we accept and approve the ULA grant administration policy as included in the packet.
Perfect. Thank you. We have a motion. I need a second.
Second that.
Right. All right. Seeing a motion on the table, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, let's call it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you. All right, discussion regarding membership in the Jordan River Commission. I will turn this over to Sam.
So just a reminder, we did have Soren Simonson present at our November 17th meeting. And did a presentation on membership in the Jordan River Commission. For this meeting, leading up to it, amongst the documents you received, we did include his offer letter and the presentation from his presentation here, his slides. in the email that I sent out, I did include my recommendation to the board, which would be to consider ex officio membership in the Jordan River Commission. As I detailed in there, I think as far as the commitment that our staff has, I don't think that changes whether we were a paying member ex officio or not a member of the Jordan River Commission. Our staff is always working with partners to try and consider all aspects that we can, both at Utah Lake and Jordan River and other locations. So I think there's definitely already a good standing relationship, and our staff will continue to work with the commission on that. But I'd be happy to answer questions the board has. Any direction the board would like to take on this, our staff would be happy to implement.
So membership means exactly what? For the Jordan River to sit on this board?
So the membership consideration is for the authority to have a seat on the Jordan River Commission board. With that, the estimated cost to have that paid seat and voting seat would be between $6,000 and $10,000 a year. Is the cost that they estimated. There's a few things that need to go into their algorithm to give us a final number. And that would give us basically the difference between that and ex officio is voting on any of their issues. Part of my recommendation for ex officio in lieu of a paid full membership was that as far as a voting right, our agency is not as involved, nor our main views, or not main views, our main focus of Utah Lake doesn't require a need to be able to vote on the Jordan River issues. But I definitely think ex officio is what the commission had, the Utah Lake Commission had with the Jordan River Commission before. I think it's important we do maintain that relationship, whether it be ex officio or even just our staff continuing to work with their agency.
And there's not an expected reciprocal seat.
On our board, no. And if there were, we can't provide that. Ours is determined by
Right.
statute.
State statute, so.
Sam, I thought your write-up was really thorough and
Me
I
too.
appreciated it. So thank you.
You're welcome, Mayor.
Any thoughts before we make a motion? Again,
No, I think I love the idea. The ex officio piece, non-financial.
Yeah.
We're engaged, we're partners. Soren did a great job. I can think of nothing but good comes from a partnership with Jordan River Commission.
I would also add that that doesn't preclude us from considering further partnerships down the road, whether those be a different board status with Jordan River Commission or one-off partner projects, if we so identified those in the future. So I appreciate the recommendation, the thoroughness of what you recommended, and at this point, I'm ready to make a motion unless.
If I may, real quick, one point of clarification. I don't know the discussion with how busy the schedule's been for our staff. I don't know we've actually discussed ex officio with the Jordan River Commission. So our board can definitely vote for that. We'll need to check with them if they do want us as an ex officio, if we do not want to be a paying member. So
Soren
just to
would like
clarify for the
make a
board.
comment. Would you mind stepping up to the microphone? And we know you, but will you just introduce yourself, please?
Good morning, Soren Simonson, Executive Director of the Jordan River Commission. I wanted to just clarify the difference between an ex officio and an interlocal member. So there's no confusion. Ex officio are full participating voting members of our governing board. And with recent changes, we were just certified last week as the Jordan River Watershed Council as well. And so that's part of the interest, is because Utah Lake is a really important part of the Jordan River watershed, its main tributary. Our recommendation is to be a full member because you are a government agency, and interlocal membership is intended for governments, local governments, county governments, state, federal. So that's primarily the recommendation from our organization, to have you as a full interlocal member because you're a government organization, and that makes sense. The ex officio are intended more for business and nonprofit and other kinds of partners. I think we would certainly entertain that if that's the recommendation from this body. But we believe it makes a lot of sense because you are a government agency, a state agency at this point, to be a full interlocal member. So if I can answer any other questions, I'm happy to. We'll leave it to your consideration how you would like to move forward. But we would love to, like Sam mentioned, we would love to have the continued participation of this new entity, Utah Lake Authority, in the work that we do, because we're really connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Soren.
So Sam and Luke, I'm curious, what's your recommendation?
Well, I do appreciate the point Soren made about their body being certified as a watershed council. We actually have a seat already on the Utah Lake Watershed Council as well, and there is a lot of interrelated nature between those watershed councils that operate separate from our group, just due to how the statute was set up and the process. The Jordan River Commission was able to become their own versus the authority. There was already a process in place for a separate body. So we do have a seat at that particular body as well currently. I really appreciate Soren clarifying the paid membership versus ex officio. In the past, as I mentioned, part of my recommendation came from the commission serving as an ex officio member in the past. I think that either direction of the board goes, whether it's paid or ex officio, I think our staff can definitely fulfill in either regard.
How about that Luke's been sitting in that seat now for 4 minutes? Why don't we maybe table this for offline, maybe a future discussion, and bring it back to the board then?
Sounds good to me.
I do have one question. If ULA joined as a paying member of the commission, I don't know exactly where all your funding comes from, but does that give the Jordan River Commission any more clout to get additional funding? Does it help the Jordan River Commission in their activities if we're a paid member?
Yeah, so let me clarify as well. Most of our ex officio members are contributing financially. They're businesses, they're nonprofit organizations. The government agencies tend to follow more formulaic pattern, whereas if ex officio members are really negotiated by each member. Our largest ex officio contributor presently is Rocky Mountain Power, and they contribute about $7,500 annually. Our largest government contributor is Salt Lake County, which contributes about a little over $40,000 annually. Those funds are our base operating budget. They fund staff positions, basic programs of our organization. We function a lot like the Utah Lake Commission functioned in the past, where the members all contribute. But we have this ex officio, which I don't think the Utah Lake Commission had previously, which allows us to connect with really important community partners that have an interest in the river. So our ex officio partners include Hogle Zoo and Tracy Aviary, National Audubon Society, several business organizations like Rocky Mountain Power, Utah Fair Park Corporation, and others that either own property or have a really significant interest in the Jordan River. There are a couple of ex officio that don't contribute. Some of those are positions that are related to our watershed council, like the Northwestern Band of the Shoshone Nation, and an agricultural representative on our board as well. So there's not an expectation, but we'll reach out as an ex officio and discuss whether or not it makes sense. But those funds do provide our basic operations, and they're important to the organization to be able to function at kind of a basic level. I hope that helps and answers the question.
So maybe just a quick follow-up. So finances aside, what is the benefit to you of having us as a member in either capacity? Ex officio or not, my presumption is we would engage in conversation. We would talk about water rights and sustainability in the watershed, both from the Utah Lake perspective as well as from the Jordan River perspective. What is the benefit? I think this is what you're asking earlier. Does it give more clout? Does it give open doors? Does it access additional source of federal funds? Is there a benefit to you other than our financial contribution to being on the commission?
There's two kind of primary distinctive factors between an interlocal member and an ex officio member. The first of which is when the legislative body of an interlocal member joins, they're basically making a commitment to the implementation of the Blueprint Jordan River and to help support the efforts to implement that plan. I don't know that it gives any more clout, but it is a signal that as a participating agency, we're supportive of the goals and vision and support that. There are no terms with an or with an interlocal member. Basically, the legislative body of that organization determines when they join, and also, as was the case a few years ago with Utah County, can decide to leave the organization. We're hopeful to have Utah County rejoin at some point in the future, but currently they're the only local government that's not participating. Part of the interest in Utah Lake Authority is that also brings in a perspective from a broader area across Utah County that we don't currently get, with only Lehigh and Saratoga Springs participating. So, you know, there's a regional perspective, there's a watershed perspective that we think Utah Lake Authority brings to the organization that's really important and impactful. Aside from that, the ex officio terms are 2 years, so they're reappointed. We've never turned away an ex officio member. There are several that have left. Zions Bank was a member for many years and just about a year ago left. The same with WCF Insurance. So we're in the process right now of looking for other business entities. And I guess I should add that one of the reasons we're also exploring Utah Lake Authority as an interlocal member is it frees up those ex officio. The ex officio seats are limited in number, and we're really interested in having industry and others represented in those ex officio seats, and are currently working on appointing ex officio members to fill the vacancies that we have right now. I won't discuss in public because those are still some ongoing conversations, but we would rethink, you know, how we would involve other stakeholders if Utah Lake Authority joined as an ex officio, because that would fill one of those seats that we were kind of exploring with some other business and industry representatives as well. Hope that helps.
That was helpful, Soren. So my suggestion is we just table this, because with Luke being brand new and here, I think there's a lot to discuss now that we understand the depth of it a little more. You're just like us, every single dollar counts. We are excited, we're funded finally. And so we probably need to have more discussion on what that looks like.
Sure. And I should also clarify, there is in our interlocal agreement an establishment of membership fees. Those fees are set by formula for cities and for the POTWs, the water reclamation, water treatment facilities. All of the others are really negotiated. In the letter that I provided to you, we set that target of 6,000 to 10,000 because other regional government entities like counties and water reclamation facilities are in that range. Currently, UDOT, which was by an act of the legislature a couple of years ago, became an interlocal. They're not currently contributing. So if the financial side of this is a concern, that's certainly something that we can negotiate. It's not a hard and fast rule what that level of contribution is, and that's certainly something that we can negotiate. And perhaps Luke and Sam and I can have a discussion about, you know, if the amount of that is of concern, maybe we can propose something that is more palatable or you know, more manageable for your organization as well.
Thank you, Soren. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sure. Are you ready to entertain a motion?
I am ready to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion on item 6.6 that we table this item until the next board meeting and some discussion can occur with our new leadership and the board.
Thank you. And we need a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and call it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries. We'll move on now to item 6.7, the ULA chair and vice chair elections. This, I think maybe Sam can speak to this.
I do have some explanation, and then Chair, if you'll
That would
take
be
back
great.
over for administering, would be great. So per our bylaws, our chair and vice chair elections need to be held either written or digital vote. So what I've done is I've set up just a simple Google form for both positions. And on each one, in just a moment, we'll put up the QR code that you can scan with your phone. I also have an email prep that I can send you if you'd prefer on your computer. You can click the link, so either option's available. And in that, it will ask you what your name is, and it will ask you to vote for one of the nominated individuals. And then at the end, I'll be on the computer back there. I can display that on the screen. So after the fact, we will be able to see who voted for who and what the total vote count was. When I notified the board, I did receive a few nominations via email that I wanted to make sure everybody's looped in on ahead of time. And then Vice Chair Kafusi can ask if there are any additional nominations as well. So far, I've received a nomination for Michelle Kafusi as chair from Chris Karn, from Ben Steierman, and from Hillary Hungerford, all three separately nominated Michelle. And then for vice chair, I received a nomination for Cameron Dalton by Ben Steierman, and a nomination for Carolyn Lundberg by Hillary Hungerford. Hopefully in my nerves, I didn't say anybody's last name with the wrong first name on that one.
Fantastic.
So I have those already put in the form, and it does say who they were nominated by. So Chair, I would turn it over to you. I'm going to get the QR code up and I will send the email right now to the board so you can take your pick, but make sure you're just selecting the chair link or QR code for right now. Once that's determined, at least traditionally in the past under the commission, we've had two separate elections, a chair election and then a vice chair vote as well.
Perfect. So
Any
let's get that QR code up on.
Are we open to floor nominations for the positions?
To do what, sorry?
Additional
Yes, if there are additional.
So for the chair, if there are additional nominations at this point, make that known. And in the meantime, let's get the QR code up and you can vote.
If there's
Ask if
only
there are any
one,
nominations beforehand.
Yes.
I need to add them to the form before you all go to the form and vote.
there's only one, we need to make a vote.
Now you're just making me feel embarrassed.
And again, part of it's because we have to go through the written digital process, even if it
Okay.
is just Mayor Kafusi, but we wanted to check if there are any other nominations for chair.
Yes. So are there any other nominations for chair? All right, seeing none.
Quick election.
There we go.
And one of you is on a computer instead. Let me just hit send on the email.
Is it working for you? I can't get it to work. Oh, there, got it.
While the board is working on that, Hillary, this is Sam, just confirming either that QR code, if you can scan that, or the email. Did you receive that? I want to make sure you have the opportunity to vote.
Yeah, I just got the email. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay.
Hey, Sam, I don't see my name showing up as, who am I?
I'm only seeing one option.
Chris, thanks for catching.
Yeah.
Well, it's hard for me to vote.
In my defense, there's 19 or 18 in the
Chris, to make up for it, he's going to provide breakfast.
Yeah.
That's very generous.
Okay. Chris, if you reload, you should see that.
Okay.
For you to be able to do that.
Great. Let's try and scan it.
And then we'll give it just a minute and I'll double check with you all to make sure you've had a chance to vote, and then I can load the results. I don't think we're going to need to review them though. We can then move to the vice chair election. No, nope, it'll be okay. Should just add it for Chris to be able to do so. Thank you all for your patience.
It's elections. We would expect nothing less. If it ran smooth, we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves.
Okay, just checking for process. Hillary, have you filed your vote?
Yeah, this is just the chair, right?
Yes, just chair. We'll do vice chair in just a moment. I'll
Okay.
have a new,
And-
you have the second link in the email there that you can click in a moment. Is everybody
Okay,
else in
the
person had a
second name
chance?
listed here wasn't on the form though, was it?
No, they're separate forms.
Okay.
Has everybody present here had a chance to file their vote?
No.
Do we have Commissioner Sakovic back online? Chris, is it still giving you trouble? Yeah. I should be able to do so with them here. We can put that on.
You can write it down and hand it.
Here, hey, Chris, let's do this. So, right, you're voting for the only individual we have on. I have it on the screen so you can watch it. I can fill it out for you, but that way it's visible that I'm doing it on your behalf.
Yeah, still not sure.
Oh, you're kidding.
It'll be after this one's over, then we'll do open nominations. Yeah, and he'll add. Yeah, verbally, yeah.
There's, okay, Chris, you can see that on the screen there.
You know what? I just refreshed and it just showed up.
Now, it did. Okay, you go ahead and submit.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've done it.
Okay. So with that finalized. So just wanted to make sure we're clear on that. So that shows on the board, all of the board members that voted, and there's only Mayor Kafusi as a chair. So I believe, do we need to say anything else about this election?
I'm just so touched. Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited and passionate about the lake. Everybody knows that. So I'm excited that we'll have a great year and excited to work with the new executive director and we'll get to know each other really well. And Sam I've worked with and the Mayor Kafusi's great, but she doesn't sit still and likes to get stuff done. So that's kind of the motto. So, and as are these folks on the board. So we'll have a great relationship and move forward. Okay, all in the name of our beautiful lake.
And congratulations.
Thank you. All right. So
For
let's,
vice chair, we have Cameron Dalton already nominated and Carolyn Lumberg nominated.
so let's open it up. Are there any other nominations that we'd like to throw up?
Mayor Kafusi, I'd like to nominate Chris Karn.
Fantastic. Let's get his name added.
Any other nominations?
Any other nominations? Okay, any online? Are we okay with Hillary? She's okay?
Sam, am I listed on this one?
Just looked and you're on there.
Okay.
Hopefully it shows your name this time in alphabetical order, not at the bottom.
And mine's not working, so I'm gonna read down.
It is a separate QR code, so you will need to scan the QR code again, or if you
That's
use the
right.
email, it's a separate link.
So, yeah, lessons learned. You have to get out of that one and scan the new one. So this will be for the vice chair. I mean, yeah, all three are wonderful people. I mean, this is like the worst part, right? Because we work with all of them and they're all great and I
It's
know,
awkward is talking about my bonus while I'm sitting in the.
yeah, so Sam, let's talk, let's
Way
go back to
worse,
your
Sam.
bonus.
Let's talk about that some
Let's
more.
go back to the bonus. I mean, I it's really difficult, right? Because our name's attached to this. All wonderful people would all make wonderful vice chairs. I don't know, board, do you want to let each person give a 1 minute why they would be excited to be the vice chair?
I was gonna say, are we?
Oh, you already voted.
Vote.
Mayor Johnson, okay. I'm just like worried, right?
Campaign speech the day after the election.
Okay. All right. So if everyone's voted and comfortable,
Hillary, just checking online. Have you had a chance to submit your vote?
Yes.
Okay, and everybody in person, are we waiting on any votes?
you're waiting on me.
Happy to wait. Chair.
From the person who says she likes to move fast.
I know, but when it comes to friendships and hard work, every person is so great. It's always tricky.
Good now?
We're good.
We're gonna see if I can use the, no, touchscreen's not gonna work. So per the vote, and I'll show the screen for who voted for who, but per that, it looks like our winning vote, I think 40% for Carolyn Lundberg. Is that what I'm reading correct, Chair?
And 40%.
We have a runoff.
We have a runoff.
Campaign speeches.
Yes, now maybe this is when we pause. We have a runoff, so we'll vote again, if that's okay, Sam.
Yes.
Can you get us a new QR code up?
So I think we should be able to use
Okay.
I think, Mayor Kafusi, I think that speech would be appropriate.
I think, and I.
It'll give me a minute to get it set up, so
Okay.
please do.
So it's, none of us know jokes. We're not funny people, I guess. So let's go ahead and let Chris, do you want to just give a little?
Sure.
First of all, it's fast. I've spent time with both these wonderful people and just both of them have great interest in the lake. And so why don't you share your interest in the lake? That's
Sure.
what we need
This
to
is-
do. Sure.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Mayor
Yeah.
Johnson said now you're down
I
to
will
like
go
40 seconds.
short.
Yeah.
So we, representing Saratoga Springs, we have the largest shoreline of any municipality outside of Utah County on the lake. So we do have a heavy interest in this. I personally live on the lake. I'm about 150 feet from the shoreline. So I've got a personal vested interest. And I'm really I've been on Utah Lake Commission for 2 years, Utah Lake Authority for 2 years. I'm very interested in what happens with the lake. I'm very vested. I really would like to just continue to voice my residents' concerns and their desires for the lake and making it a great place.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
I'm very honored to be nominated. I was not angling to step into any leadership role at this point. Chris is fantastic. Chris has a lot of passion. I'm also passionate. I'm happy to serve as a board member or as vice chair. To me, I think we're all on the same page. We're all a team here. We have some really amazing projects and things going forward. Our lakeshore also has some really fantastic things that I'm excited to continue the momentum here with all of you for the lake and this management plan, the new director, the team. I love being here. So if you want me to serve, I'm happy to serve, but however it may fall, it would be wonderful. So thank you.
I always warn folks coming into this is, when I'm talking to people the night before, they're calling about the meeting and what about this agenda item, that agenda. If anyone ever asks about this, I always say it, you never know. You walk into these elections and you just never know where it's going to land. So let's go ahead and vote.
So you should be set again. When you open it, it should look the same, but at the beginning of the vote, it should say second round. If it doesn't say that, please reopen the link again. It should refresh for that. And if none of you are seeing the question say second round, please tell me. And Hillary, for yours, since you're not scanning the code, you just need to click on the link again to open a new tab, not reuse the old tab, I believe.
I got it. Thanks.
Has everybody had a chance to vote? Okay, let's display that. So that displays the percentages, which looks like Carolyn Lundberg, and I'm going to just shift over to the spreadsheet so that we can display voting. So shown on, sorry, back over the microphone. Shown on the screen is the votes for the second round, which has Carolyn Lundberg taking the election.
Okay.
Okay.
Congratulations. All right. This has been a long meeting, so thank you everyone for being patient with us. At this point, we'll go ahead and move to item number 8, which is public comment. It is allowed 2 minutes. So if you would like to speak, we ask you to please come to the microphone so those online can hear and state your name and your city. And we'd love to hear from anyone that would like to visit with us today. Okay, great. And we have some kids in the audience, and we always love having kids in the audience. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much. My interest in Utah Lake is peripheral. I'm a volunteer organizer.
Get your name
My
and
name's
city.
Elliot
Please.
Mott. I'm a citizen of Salt Lake County. So my interest in your area is peripheral as a volunteer organizer of outdoor events. I found as I've aged, I'm not getting any taller, but I'm getting wider, and being active is helpful. And so beginning a long time ago, I started organizing events, mostly bike rides and hikes, bike rides, and more recently, kayak trips. Years ago, there used to be a wonderful bike ride around Utah Lake, which dissolved when traffic built up around Saratoga Springs. Any influence you have on UDOT to make the roads bike friendly would be really appreciated by the active community. Highway 68, Redwood Road, Highway 6 along the south end. We used to go south on Redwood Road around West Mountain over to Springville, excuse me, and then back on Saratoga Road, I think it's called. You might have that road wrong. Any rate, any influence you can have to influence UDOT to be bike friendly would be appreciated. Moving to the river, I lead a lot of kayak trips on the Jordan River. We need a takeout as far north as possible in Utah County. There's a conflict at 1500 North with fishermen. The trailhead, Thanksgiving Point trailhead, is designed for the bike path. We'd like to have it modified for the river as well. So cement ramp down into the river at that location would be really helpful. If not there, then farther north. The discussions a few years ago before COVID I had with Camp Williams officials, they're interested in expanding their campground to possibly include a spur down to the river and a launch point at that point. That would give us a way to take out of the river farther north before the buoy barrels at Turner Dam. So those are some requests I have as a water trail user. Farther south, Spanish Fork River. Gold and wonderful asset that needs to be improved. We have some weirs on that river that we need to portage around. If we could get some portages around those weirs, that would be very helpful. Is my time up? Oh, okay. So you have a wonderful area. I'm interested in the plans you're making to make it better. So I wish you good success.
Thank you.
For the time.
Thanks for your comments, and thanks for being an active user of our water system and our beautiful lake and our Jordan River. We appreciate that. That's what we want to hear. Okay.
I would love to just make a quick comment. So Soren invited our body to do a kayaking expedition up the Jordan River, and I participated in one of those and then took a family group a second time. It was fantastic. The inlet park had a wonderful ramp to get in, but like this gentleman is saying, to exit was a little bit more challenging at different points along the river. So great idea.
Are we making a list? Do we do that here?
Keep minutes.
Tracking the
Action
comments?
items?
Yeah.
Action items?
We do take notes on.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Kay Nelson. I live right up here in Provo, and I am with Kids Serve Utah Valley. Just pledging our support to Mayor Kafusi and Mayor Lundberg as chair and vice chair. We love being able to work with the Utah Lake Authority and give our opinions, and we've felt heard, and we feel like moving forward, there's going to be some great things that come along. So thank you.
Thank you, Kay. And Conserve Utah Valley is just a wonderful group of volunteers that has just ballooned into this amazing organization. As the mayor of Provo, I love my relationship and working with them. They're a great group. So thank you. All right, any other public comment?
Just double checking online, any comments either?
Okay, seeing none, I just wanted to read, Mayor Fulmer just wanted to say, she just said, will you thank everyone for trusting in me that I have loved serving with them as the chair? So on behalf of Mayor Fulmer, our former chair, she wanted to make sure those sentiments were expressed. Seeing nothing left on the agenda, our next ULA board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, March 20th, 2024 at 9 a.m. and will be held at the Provo Airport upstairs. So please, everyone get that in your calendar. We'll send out reminders as well. And the agenda and all your packet will arrive early. So please, if you get an opportunity, dive into that packet and come prepared for the meeting. With that said, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So made.
And a second? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. And thank you, all you folks who came out this morning. We appreciate